You're listening to Edge Radio TV. The views and opinions expressed in this program are that of the host or guests, and not the Edge Radio Network or its advertisers or affiliates.
Hey, it is Friday. Are y'all feeling the Friday?
I am.
I love Fridays.
I love Friday.
TGIF.
Yes.
Welcome to the Women's Empowerment segment on Edge Radio TV Network. I am your host, Nicole Giddens, health and fitness expert. Brooke, introduce yourself.
I am Brooke White. I am a realtor and a notary signing agent, and I am a abuse survivor.
Yes, she is.
Abuse survivor.
That's right.
Entrepreneur as well.
Yes, that's right. She's an entrepreneur extraordinaire.
There it is.
She's
she says
all
it better.
that.
I'm
just
all
everything.
of the above.
But that is the topic of our conversation
Yes.
today, and we have our special guest, Stormy Hayes. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
so much for. She drove all the way from Austin to
I
be
love
here today.
that, and I love your name. Okay,
I know.
I just love her name.
It sounds like she should be a host or something. Like she should be
Definitely.
a talent.
I've actually been told a weather person.
That's exactly.
Oh my God,
yes, that's what I was
yes.
thinking.
We could totally have like a section on our show where we do the weather, and Stormy
Oh,
could
let's
be our
do
weather
it.
girl.
I would love that.
I would
we
be
do
in
that,
for it.
Vince?
I'm down for it.
I mean, let's do it.
Can we do events? We're gonna have a weather
Oh
show
my
too.
God, I'm so excited.
We'll just
We're
talk
gonna
about
have-
all the hurricanes and all the things that happen here in Houston.
That's actually how I came upon the name with helping with hurricane recovery.
Really?
I helped with Katrina,
Yes.
Rita, Ike.
Oh my God, I love that.
Wow.
God bless you on that too, on helping through any of those types of situations.
She's very multifaceted
Yeah.
herself.
When we weren't on the air, she was telling me about all the jacks of the trade that she has
Uh-huh.
done. She reminds
You're very
me of
impressive.
me. I feel like I've done a lot too, so that's impressive.
Yeah, very much
Thank
so.
you.
She's got a great
I
portfolio.
know.
And a pretty excruciating story that you're enduring right now. You were telling me that you're still trying to rectify some allegations towards you and a horrific situation that you dealt with your marriage. And so let's start out from the very beginning. So where did you meet this man that you married?
There was not online dating at that time.
Right.
There was video dating. I had been living in Virginia. And so my mother had passed away in a car wreck, and I moved back home to help take care of things. And a friend of mine, we were working in the med center, and she said, "Why don't you try this?" And so I did, and that's where I met my ex.
Interesting. It's like FaceTime, but on a video,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
That's interesting. So what happened after the
Yeah.
meeting?
Yeah.
Well, we met, and we went out, and we ended up getting married after 4.5 months,
Wow.
and it was a big mistake.
We've talked about that narcissistic type
I told
behavior.
you.
They always try to rush
I
into
love
the
you, I love you,
commitment
I
of the
love you.
relationship and
Yes.
try to get you to commit. Was he real pushy?
No,
About getting
it was
married
kind
right
of
away?
a mutual
Was it
thing.
mutual?
I can't say that it was him.
Just family.
I was at the lowest point in my entire
So you
life.
wanted someone too. You kind of wanted that compassion.
I was in a very needy
right.
state after my mother. It was an
And
explosion.
I can understand that. Grief will make you do all kinds of things.
And
Mhm.
but see, he looked at it, and I figured out that his family looked at it from another standpoint. Ching.
Yeah, because your mother had.
Oh, wow.
I-
Well, he's
and-
wealthy. I mean, he's the head honcho of
No,
MHMR.
that was his father.
Oh.
Oh.
He's the son, and he actually was hitting my car the day before when I told him that the prenup had to be signed. He was
Before
pissed.
you got married.
He was pissed.
Did he sign it?
Oh.
He signed it, but the judge did not enforce it because Dad had connections.
No way. That's not justice system.
No,
what I
but
tell you all the time.
she was telling me that there's a lot of crooked stuff that was involved with this
I
family.
believe it.
Major judicial corruption. And I was so injured. I mean, I had not only a concussion, but you see, the head of Methodist Neurology I'd been to after the first time he had shoved me said, "Oh, you just need to go to counseling." But yet, this was right during Rita.
Oh my goodness.
We were evacuating, and I was dropping medical equipment off at the hospital on the way out.
So start from the very beginning. So that was the first initiation where you could see that there was going to be some violent behavior
it was long before that.
Okay, so while you were engaged to get married, he was showing you signs of abuse?
Only the day before when he hit the car.
Mm-hmm.
I asked my dad, "Can I change my mind?" He said, "No, I've spent too much money."
Oh no. How old were you?
I was 24. I was the only girl, and I felt alone. And I was devastated beyond belief.
Wow.
You know, that's why
I said, I don't care how much money you spend. I'm leaving. Put your tennis shoes on underneath that dress and take a run for it.
Hey, I wish I was a runaway bride. I wish I could go back.
I wish I could have run. Believe you me.
I thought about it, but I was already at the altar, and I was like, dang.
So he throws a fit. Your dad says you have to wed him. So you guys are married now. And how long were you guys married for?
It started on our honeymoon.
No way. The abuse?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Right away?
Yeah.
Right away?
It was, he would threaten to jump out of the car while it was moving. He shook me and grabbed me. And we were at a intersection. We were in Hawaii, and we were at an intersection, and it was so bad. A couple of guys walked up, said, "Are you okay?" I mean,
wow.
So how long did you deal with abuse in the marriage and everything? When did you start getting out?
Well, we were going counseling, and his dad was taking me to a session because I have a drug allergy, and I was misdiagnosed, and the doctors were making money. I was a good customer. I had good insurance.
Oh, okay.
So you give me a pill, I have a reaction to it. You send me to another doctor, they give me another pill, and another pill, and another pill. I was a big pharma.
Situation. Taken advantage of.
Majorly. But what I needed was neurosurgery.
Really?
And that's why him shoving my head up against the wall made it even worse. And it was just one thing. But his father, on the way to that counseling session, told me that if I ever divorced his son because of my health, he would take my children. And they were an international family. And his mother his mother actually told me something that saved me. Al Sr. did this to me.
So funny you said that, because I've had a mom tell me the same thing, get out, about her own kid. Isn't it crazy?
That's so sad for a mother to have to do that. You know, like that probably tore her heart apart to just have to deal with knowing that her child is like needs help.
And
I mean, it's got to be some mental health
that was
issues going on.
First time he had threatened to kill me. He said, "I ought to fucking kill you." And his mom was staying with us. And excuse my little bleep word
that's
there.
my favorite word. It's okay.
That's okay.
And but you don't understand, and that's why when I went to go speak at the Battered Mothers Custody Conference, it was the stories don't make sense until you try to leave.
Oh, it's true.
And so when you went to go speak at that conference and they knew that you were going to be letting the whole world know your story and they knew who you were connected to, what happened to you? You said something happened to you.
I had my keys stolen numerous times. And law enforcement is not doing anything to stop this kind of thing, to investigate it.
Right.
They don't realize the toll that it's taking. And if they do realize it, they're a part of it because they're involved in it and they're getting pushed jobs if they stay quiet. They want, high-paying side jobs.
True.
That's what's happening. But they have to stay quiet.
You know, that's what's so sad, though, really, because police officers
believe in
don't
that.
get paid hardly anything at
No,
all.
so they live off their side jobs.
And after a while, dealing with like society and everything, it might be like so. I mean, the temptation
Can you
out
imagine?
there. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's
but
like
could you
they don't
imagine
get
the
paid.
temptation? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there needs to be like for the academy just a little bit more. Well, we were talking about mental health issues amongst men, how a lot of it's ignored.
Oh,
I mean,
it is. Yes.
and
they're supposed to be
we're
strong.
seeing more and more. I mean, you cannot be
happens?
mentally stable if with all the disparities and stuff that goes on with people in the
Well,
in law
and-
enforcement.
The problem of it is the woman's crazy. That's what men are
that's
telling women and telling other people. Oh, she's crazy,
And they,
or she's a threat, to cover up their own mental instabilities, and that is a huge problem. And my ex-husband, had his father stayed out of our marriage, we might could have survived it. But he was manipulating all three of his kids' marriages, and they were all divorced within a very short window
really?
of time.
All of them, huh?
All of them. And one of my ex-brother-in-laws called my ex-father-in-law a puppet master,
Yeah.
because they're using, and I had written a paper on digital technology and how it's being used in stalking and cyber stalking.
Oh, yeah.
And these law enforcement officers come up to women who have called and, well, when have you had a mental health evaluation?
I know.
And the problem, and I finally asked them, how many hours of training have you had on that? Oh, I've had 80 hours. And it's like, well, I've had more than 80 hours. I've had numerous courses. I've worked in the healthcare. I've worked with law enforcement.
80 hours.
And I've got years and years.
That's kind of like, you know, telling a woman to calm down,
Right. no.
asking her if she's crazy. Those
No.
aren't going to
No.
work out
or
for
saying,
you.
why do you have an attitude, when she clearly didn't have an attitude, but now she has an attitude.
Oh, she's going to
she
now.
has an attitude now.
I mean, it's almost like, you know, they push your buttons
Yes.
in a way.
And no, it's very true.
Well, and a lot of times they send only certain officers out. I was staying at a hotel. I had already prepaid my hotel, and they were trying to kick me out because they were wanting the stuff that I had with me. I had been left there. Had been drugged. They robbed me.
Wow.
I didn't understand it then, but I went back and looked at some emails, and I didn't understand why they were after my film equipment. But I had written a couple of people about, and actually a filmmaker here in Houston, about some of it that would make a great movie. And I'd written my ex-brother-in-law that Rick Perry was involved in it by appointing my ex-husband's attorney a judge after she perjured herself, tampered with witnesses and evidence.
Oh, corruption.
None at all, right?
None. Okay, well, hold that thought, because we're going to go take a break real quick. But when we come back, we're going to get back on corruption in the justice system.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Women's Empowerment segment here on Edge Radio TV Network, because truth still matters. We have our guest here, Stormy Hayes. She had reached out to me on social media, and she's been trying to get her story out for quite some time, and it's been sabotaged along the way, according to Stormy. So we're really wanting to allow her to get that platform so that she can let people know what she's been through. So let's continue on. So we were just at the point where there was
some corruption in
not some, a
lot. Which, when there's money, there's more than likely corruption. So, like we said.
So, what's the next step for you? Because you said your life has been threatened. You've had stuff stolen from you. There was something else that you were saying happened to you with a bankruptcy issue or something.
I had an annuity when my mother passed away in a car wreck, and that was what they were after, because I met my ex right after I had gotten going. We were having a lawsuit and that sort of thing, and so we got it in payments once every 5 years. And I divorced when the big money was coming, but they didn't want me having access or being able to have the social life that they wanted him to have. If he couldn't have it, they didn't want me having it either.
So no career, just
they interfered with everything.
Everything. You couldn't be you.
No, I couldn't. At the
end of the day,
I tried. I was told, walk away. It's too big. How do you understand that when you're needing neurosurgery? And to understand it, you have to understand what was wrong. It was like walking around drunk all the time. In fact, during the divorce, they even drug tested me, which of course I passed, but I was in pain all the time because my head had been shoved. But I didn't understand. I couldn't. I mean, my cognitive ability was in the toilet. If somebody just, it hurt.
Wow, your nervous system sounds like it was really just flared.
Well, imagine, if you will, a tourniquet around your brainstem.
Oh.
The hole coming out of my skull was too small. And it's like a water sprinkler. You crimp it, you put a kink in it, it does not work.
Yeah.
The cranial nerves do not get the flow of the cerebral spinal fluid.
Right.
And I didn't understand it all the way I do now, but I knew something wasn't right. And one guy that I had asked, I told him, if anything ever happens to me, please take care of my kids. But instead of just helping me, and he has a memorabilia business and connections, because his brother was a head media bigwig with the University of Houston. So they had all the take, but I had tried helping. Stormy Hayes didn't come just happen. I went back home when Hurricane Rita hit. I had supplies. I took stuff to people. I helped my stepfather, who was a veterinarian there, and I tried doing. I was also the first Miss Texas steam pageant contestant from Orange County, and I always did things for other people. My ex-husband asked me, "Why do you help people?" And I said, "Because you never know when it might be you."
Right.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And if you can't help other people, and if you have no compassion whatsoever,
right,
what kind of person are you?
Someone with no empathy as well, because normally if you have no empathy, you don't care. I mean, you're not gonna try to help.
Well,
anyone.
the problem is
we're here to help each other.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but anyway, I figured it out, and I did some research, and an attorney who was also a nurse said, make a medical timeline. And I did. And in there I saw that I had what was called Arnold-Chiari malformation, which it's now becoming more prominently known because it's been misdiagnosed.
Oh.
I had the same symptoms as Lou Gehrig's. That's what my grandfather had been diagnosed with and died at 46.
Oh, goodness.
I was right around the same age. But I also had what's called, I've got some effect of celiac, and it swells. So what happens when you get swelling around a opening that's too small to begin with, and trauma?
Right.
I could hardly move.
Imagine.
And so that's when I started doing more research, and I figured out how yeast with the celiac and alcohol, and it's like I started putting everything, just started, lights went on, and I began to understand everything, and it's like, wow. But when I got surgery at the National Institute of Health, the same one that's been in the news, and people didn't think anything of it. Now with all the COVID, everything, like, that's where you had surgery? Yeah. Nobody believed me, understood anything. I was crazy. I was a threat.
And you were just ill.
I was recovering because I also got keloids. Well, when they're doing internal sutures, it takes longer to recover from that because it takes time for the scar tissue to thin out.
Mm-hmm.
And people do not understand that. And so it's like, I'm having to educate people, and it's like these women that are being battered, many of them have that. It comes from having a small skull. And people are often said they have migraines.
That's true.
It's not just migraines, it's Arnold Chiari.
Oh.
Because it constricts it, it keeps the flow of the cerebral spinal fluid from hitting the, going out to the ends of the synapses and producing the dopamine.
And so he took advantage of your condition and made it more
they
to
had,
where it was like you were mentally
and they had stolen my medical records from Methodist Hospital.
What?
3
Who are
weeks.
these people?
3 weeks after we had split up, and my marriage ended in front of the Friendswood Police Department.
So the medical records would have been able to prove that you were battered.
Yes.
Oh.
And my attorneys never produced them in court. And I had been to the emergency room the night before because I had been helping the Lighthouse charity team down in Galveston, and we were serving first responders from Hurricane Ike, thanking them. The pull on there because of my condition and my ex-husband having shoved me and everything, all of it together, I could hardly turn over in the bed, and I had to beg to go to the emergency room. And he woke my kids up cursing at me because I needed to go to the emergency room. Said he was tired, he could wait. I could wait. I was in excruciating pain, and then
the barometric pressure from the weather,
everything. And yes, barometric pressure is a huge factor. But he didn't care. He didn't know how to handle anything because of what his father was doing to him. And that's where the mental health system is breaking down. Oh, not my son. He was told to take medication, but he had to take a drug test at work, and it would show up. Not my
son. If you're prescribed, but if you're prescribed, but I guess he didn't want him being labeled as bipolar or
exactly. Yeah. And we need to stop with the labeling. And it's not, people need help. And it's destroying families.
Oh, yeah.
And, but his dad, having been a former director of the Harris County MHMR, not my family, it was there more than any. It wasn't the ex-wife who was the...
bitter.
No, she had been abused.
Oh, his ex-wife.
His first ex-wife.
There's a story there.
And she had been
down.
She had been a nurse, registered nurse, but this is what's going on. Then she was told she's bipolar, schizophrenic. She was hearing voices. No, they were stalking her, and before the age of eavesdropping on our phones, they would be outside the houses, and somebody was outside my house. We were all in one room. We were packing up, getting ready to go. They came and took photos in front of the house. They were driving by all the time. My ex-father-in-law, they ended up getting control of the house, even though I had put the down payment on it. And there was a prenup that said anything I purchased would retain mine, whether it was commingled or not.
So you said you lost everything, right? They stole everything from you. What happened?
Well, the first time I was drugged, I was about to move to California to get into acting and filmmaking. Hence why they also stole the film equipment. And I had some artwork. And it was given to me because I had helped my stepmother. My father had passed away due to cancer after only finding out 1 month before he died.
Oh, bless.
And I helped her, and I wasn't asking. I didn't do it. I did it because I cared about her.
Yeah.
I mean, she was super sweet. And I told her before, you know, if she ever decided to get rid of that painting, because of the ladies who gave it to her, to my dad. They gave it to my dad because he always helped.
It was an expensive piece.
Unknowingly, yes. And see, my ex's family also got on my checking account, online banking. Only I didn't know anything about it. And it was only when I went to the bank and got a printout of my statement, I saw my ex-husband's work phone number on there.
Goodness.
And they looked to see, they didn't take money out of the account. And I called the Spring Police Department up there. Oh, well, they didn't take any money out of it. No, they weren't taking money out of the account. They were going after everything I had purchased. My film equipment. They saw that I had had the painting repaired. And the price that I had paid for it to have it repaired was $728. They went back and stole the artwork. And on the back of it, and I took photos of the artwork before I went and let it be repaired. And it was because my dad had helped these ladies. One of the ladies had sold my father the car that I had my first car, 72 Cadillac.
Wow.
And people helped. That was when people helped.
So you would just come home and it would all be gone?
No, they drugged me. I totaled my truck that I had gotten to use for film making, and it had a bed cover. I had all the equipment to do it, and they knew that. And I had also looked at making a video from the other guy, Tears of My Heart, and they worked together. One was helping the other, and the attorneys, my attorney had been my ex-sister-in-law's attorney, because no good attorney would take it, and it was a setup.
How did they drug you?
After stealing my medical records, they knew that I had a drug allergy. They also stole a stack of MRIs like this.
God.
So only a radiologist or somebody in neuro could read those.
Right.
My ex-father-in-law's niece is a radiologist, plus neighbors, and other people that are involved with Methodist were covering all of this up. And I had reported, they are by law, supposed to report any reported domestic violence or abuse. Neither Amit Verma or Holly Varner did.
So they drugged you and you felt ill, like sick, or you felt like, what was it?
They caused me to have a seizure.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, that is
And
insane.
I totaled my truck. And they've done this more than once. And I had had sinus surgery. I was allergic to the antihistamines.
So how'd they get it into your system?
Remember the keys? They drugged the hotel room. They could drug the drinks that were in my refrigerator.
Wow. Okay, hold that thought. My producers.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go on break.
Take a break.
We'll
I'm
come
all
back.
into this.
Yeah, we'll come back.
We'll come
Y'all
back.
Just
And
hold on a second. We'll be back in a minute.
Hey y'all, I'm Robin B.
And I'm Dr. Kiva.
And we just want to know
How you living?
Join us every Monday
At noon Central Standard Time.
here on Edge Radio TV. Take care.
When people stop talking to each other, society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters. When people stop talking to each other, society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
Welcome back to the Women's Empowerment segment here on Edge Radio TV Network. We are talking with Stormy Hayes here, and she has a story of corruption, abuse, and you're still
Illness.
enduring some of the
And after effects, I'm imagining.
Well, are they still bothering you?
Yes. I've been called a threat. I've been called, what else? Crazy, because this is how they try to discredit women.
Right.
When in fact, I'm now in school and I'm taking pre-law classes. They know my integrity is huge.
Right.
I'm not a saint, but you know, who is?
Nobody
Yeah, I know.
is. That doesn't mean you're a threat per
None
se.
of us
Exactly.
are.
I mean,
They did the same thing to my ex-brother-in-law, though.
so interesting. So,
Let me explain that one. My ex-sister-in-law said I stole her story.
her story, as in which one? 'Cause she got
Abuse.
quite a bit.
Abuse.
Oh.
So
She
what
claimed
her
to be
story was,
She claimed to be abused
By her husband, which is your ex-brother-in-law.
the one that told me that they planned to throw me under the bus
Okay.
and that he was a puppet master.
Okay.
But finding out that she had hidden debt,
oh, this was the sister, the daughter of the.
Of the yes,
my
yes,
ex-father-in-law, my husband's sister, my ex-husband's sister,
Gotcha.
Ooh.
and she filed a false police report about, well, one with me and numerous others about stalking. And I took a photo of where I was. And I was way up in North Houston when she said I was down here. Oh, I saw you driving the Xterra around, which was my brother's truck that he had at the time. And we're talking, they broke into my apartment and took things. And
That's such a violation.
but see, when you have one ex-boyfriend and an ex-husband working together,
oh God, I
would
would die.
have huge networks, and this is what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
And it's wrong, and it's like, I don't have a problem. I went to my son's wedding and it was no problem. I mean, I have a level of integrity that I'm not going to bring myself down to.
You shouldn't.
Yes, I stand up for myself, but we're in a charity thing or something like that. That's not the time or the place.
No.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm there for that. I'm not there. I could care less if they're there. But they have problems looking at me.
Most people do when they've done something wrong. They don't want to see the person
Mm-hmm.
they've hurt
Exactly.
in front of them.
So when you filed for divorce, what happened to the prenup?
Oh, yeah.
They did nothing. I got my annuity, yes, but they went after, and when they drug you and you have a wreck, and they drugged me numerous times, and all when you're going to speak at a battered mother's custody conference, when I'm about to leave to move out of town with all of my stuff, and when I'm at the Libertarian Party delegate convention here in Houston. Timing is not me just being
All of a sudden, you're having seizures
Right,
on
exactly.
all these.
Or you're going to
these times
big
where you
events.
could be telling people about the corruption and
Right.
things that happened,
and
because she's sharing the
Silencing her.
story. Yeah.
yeah, and to try to socially isolate me.
Absolutely. And what better
And-
way than your health?
And the fact they wanted me in the hotel room where I was staying before I left. My uncle, who was an attorney, he no longer is, but there's more to that story too. He was also the attorney that handled my mother's death and the
Probate and all
settlement that we got. And so he knew all the ins and outs of that. And I had written an email documenting about my first attorney. Well, they put all of it together and what they were trying to do to me. They were trying,
To say it was foul play because he was your uncle.
no,
Oh.
they got him involved. They're using blackmail like no tomorrow. He'd had a drug problem.
Oh.
He liked marijuana. I could care less. My grandmother smoked
Right?
it,
Yeah.
you know. But when it's not legal, they
They
will.
can use it against you.
And that's
absolutely.
exactly what was going on, and my husband knew of it. And so he helped. He was holding my artwork for me. It came, and it ended up like just days afterwards. They brought it back to me. It was stolen.
Ugh.
That was when I was drugged, and everything happened.
How long were you married to him?
Nearly 20 years.
Oh my goodness.
So I completely understand that Melinda Gates.
Yes, I bet you do, because she's under lockdown, I'm sure. I mean, she can't do anything to.
Mhm.
No,
She's not herself, you know what I mean?
No,
So.
no. And so all these things that are being accused, she's being accused of,
Right.
I don't think. I think she is a prisoner.
I'm sure. I'm very sure. Yeah. I
But
mean,
the other problem is what Hollywood is doing with it as well, because I spoke up about a filmmaker who was shopping for girls in the grocery stores.
Mm.
I was supposed to shut up and go away.
What? See, that's a part of corruption, the money world too. They like to keep those things hush hush
And
because
they
that
were
makes them money.
They by using
Makes me sick.
by using your cell phone,
Mhm.
the camera, the microphone, they started making some fake stories to try to get to me. I mean, when I was in the hotel room, they were moving stuff around in there, and they went through all of my papers, trying to find dirt on me. My stepdad said that they had called him. He didn't have social media or a cell phone, so they had to call the landline, trying to find dirt on me.
I bet you didn't walk around without looking over your shoulder. Like, you probably still do.
I didn't understand what was happening, and it's like that's why when they're doing these kinds of things to women are being told that they're mentally ill instead of law enforcement. They would much rather hire a doctor and put her in a mental health ward
Yeah.
than hire her an attorney who is credible.
Which is very accurate.
Well,
They
because there's
want-
too many people getting paid off.
Exactly.
There is. Yes.
You nailed it.
And it's true. There's the corruption that we don't even know about.
That's
Can you
why
imagine?
I'm going pre-law now.
I don't blame you. The drive from all
So
of this.
what's your goal for that? What do you've got to have some kind of reason
Well, when
to
you're
get some vindication.
Yeah.
well, it's
behind
not
all this.
vindication so much as it is self-protection and awareness.
Uh-huh. I get
Because if you know as much as they do or more,
Mm-hmm.
they can't mess with you.
And that's true. Education, knowledge is power.
Mhm.
And if you can come back and fight just as hard as they can, because you know.
And, you know, how does it look when I'm going to school and I've used my law classes and some of my classes to write papers about what's
I
happened.
bet your professor's like, what?
And I did one in digital technology and wrote, you know, told them how law enforcement's using it. And I mean, because they say, oh, well, this person committed suicide, when in fact, no, they knew too much and they offed them and they know how to clean it all up.
Epstein. Oh, can I say that one?
And I actually, you know, had commented on a story about a female firefighter, who they said went to a state park and hung herself.
Really? What? A state
And
park?
then less than a week after that, I get a ticket because I mentioned about law enforcement targeting people.
So they decided to pick on you and disregard that you have a parking pass right there for the college.
And I was given a ticket saying I was parked in the wrong place. They never even looked. They didn't care. I was targeted.
You'd be surprised how many people target other people and you don't even really know.
And this was the chief of the police where I'm going to school. And it's
God,
a
I would be
Christian.
wanting
What?
to move everywhere.
Gosh,
Like I
that
would
makes
just,
me
I
so
would just get,
sad.
I just get to the
They
point to where
want
I
they
feel
want
like,
to try to push me
And
away
you know it's
and
true.
out.
You know
And
it's true.
you know what? I am a native Texan.
Word.
This state was helped built by my family, and a town is named after my family. So, I mean, and they're even in the Western Heritage Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
So, I feel like I would be leaving home.
Yeah, don't leave. Don't ever. I tell everybody.
It's why aren't they doing anything about the people doing this? And they want to go and fault me. We're talking Austin Rodeo even being involved in this. My son showed calves, and that helped me figure everything out. And it's like, cattle has been in my family, and they said I was a threat and barred me from the backstage committee.
Work with cattle? A threat for what? Like, I would be screaming at this point.
Well, I
know.
didn't want to sink down to them, and I wanted to pursue another avenue. I tried requesting, but what it is these people are at the rodeo gala, and they didn't want to run into me, just like I was saying. But cattle actually helped me figure out what was going on, because we were told to give our cow, my son's calf, beer to help fill it out before the show. But he wasn't drunk because we didn't give him enough.
mm-hmm.
He had the same swelling and had trouble. I had trouble walking and talking. This calf did too. And I put it all together.
OMG. Wow. They were trying to sabotage the showing too.
No, they weren't. No.
No?
The show, that was part of, different things help with metabolism in
Right.
animals.
Which is
And
true.
it just helps fill them out.
Okay.
And you want a certain fat content
Okay.
in cattle, and it helps them, their eating and the digestion and everything. But
Basically, they're just trying to bloat him up a little
Right.
bit for the show, and he had an allergy to the yeast that was in the beer,
Oh,
and that's what
happened
she
to
put.
you?
That's how she put two and two together. That might be
That's-
what's
and
happening.
somebody
to her.
that has as much connection with the cattle industry, they said I was a threat when all I wanted to do was to work with it and to do, well, you don't need to be on that committee, you can go be on that committee, because I was doing photography too, band photography, and they stole all of my band photos. But the guy that I'd gone out with, guess what he sells? Autographed photos. And so all of my flash drives were stolen. They even, after I wrote that paper, they also deleted my Facebook. Everything that Facebook said they wanted to stand up against abuse, against, domestic violence, and all these things that they say of stalking. And guess who they helped? Because they had an inside track.
Wow, if they got to Mark, then they know some people.
Yeah, they do. It's connections, and it's political, it's media, and it's also got to do with.
I mean, just leave you alone already. My God,
I
get a
tried.
hobby.
I just wanted
Good
to have a
Lord.
life,
So
and you know,
shocked.
I would have stopped. I would not have filed anything. They have fueled it,
Yeah, they keep doing it. It's like a vicious circle.
and I didn't ask for this. I tried moving to California, but I owed my attorney some money, and I had tried talking to some other attorneys to file against her and to do an appeal.
Unreal.
Because of the judge involved, Sherry Wydeen, and my attorney, who was Judith Blanchard. Judith Blanchard was retiring. Sherry was a judge, and she just got through running for a judge again. Lost, fortunately, because she is one of the most corrupt judges ever.
Oh, good to know.
You never. Women who come before her
Oh,
court
man.
in custody cases do not prevail because
No.
she is about the good old boy system.
I can't stand the justice
And I'm a good
system.
old girl. I like good old boys,
Yeah, the good
but
ones.
I just don't want to be victimized.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference.
Very, very huge difference. Oh my goodness.
And
What
so
a
she's
story.
got 3 sons. And so it was a network racket of favors.
Wow. Oh my God. Well, I think we need to take a break real quick. We will be
Alright.
back shortly.
Yeah.
to
Y'all stay
discuss a little
tuned.
bit more.
The Natural Nation Network is really about taking control of your health physically, spiritually, emotionally, even intellectually, because there's so much out there in misinformation. There's a lot of people now that are suffering from all sorts of diseases that they really wouldn't have to suffer for if they had better information. And that's what we're here to do. Provide information that can save lives.
The mind and the body are totally connected.
Health can be really serious, and you know, sometimes we just have to lighten it up a little bit while we're still providing substantive information.
And you know, my sort of mantra on the salsa dance floor is kind of similar. You know, I tell somebody, if you make a mistake twice, it becomes a move. Okay, so
Tune into Natural Nation every Tuesday at 11 a.m.
Are you a small business owner concerned about the downturn in the economy? Top business leaders like Mattress Mac and Warren Buffett will tell you that now is the time to promote your business more than ever. People need your services. Your business needs an edge. Learn about special advertising packages for small businesses right here on Edge Radio. Find out more, give us a call at 281-744-0446. That's 281-744-0446. Edge, because truth still matters.
Welcome back to the Women's Empowerment segment here on Edge Radio TV Network. We are wrapping up our interview here with Stormy Hayes. we were just talking about how you're going to be finishing out school, but she had something else happen to her at the school here recently.
Right.
So it's continuing on for the stealing of your keys. Your keys came up missing, and what
Keys-
happened? Did they take anything of
They
your place?
didn't. They're going after information, stealing of evidence, and this has happened at where I've lived, my apartment, the housekeeping, house and maintenance,
Oh, well, I can help you with that. I was in property management, and
and
that's so illegal.
Well, yeah. of course
but
it is.
oh well, this guy's worked for me for 10 years.
That
He's
doesn't
been-
matter.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
So, but that I've got an ongoing case with that.
I bet you
And
do.
I had been in several accidents that weren't my fault, and they were going after trying to get this, shut the attorneys down. Bribery.
You need I know an attorney you need. You don't play like that.
Well, that attorney has a band, and they ended up not even helping me in a car wreck because they didn't want me getting a settlement to be able to do anything, to go places, to be involved in things, because this guy that I'm telling you about, I went to high school with him. His sister, I graduated with her, Don Bonin, and his brother Richard, very well connected, and the problem of it is we had so much in common. I was in the school yearbook collecting autographs from one of the Karl Mock, I think it was, from the Houston Oilers. I made the front page of the San Angelo Times because I was in the Youth Conservation Corps, and I was collecting, and and all of my stuff was stolen.
Like they just don't want you to have a life at all.
They don't want me to have anything. They went after my 4-carat diamond ring.
Wow.
Did they get it?
I know, that's what they got it.
They delayed a payment. I went to go. My ex. I did not get alimony, even though I had been married almost 20 years. Did not work full time. Had not been working because they sent me a little thing, and it had my ex-father-in-law's name on it, and it was blacked out from Peachtree or J.G. Wentworth, telling me to go get an advance on my annuity from there. Well, I lost probably $100,000 doing that.
What? Did you get an advance?
But I couldn't do anything else because I was so injured I couldn't function. And they went after everything, they stole my clothes. I mean,
Oh, dirty.
when you don't have any place to live, you don't have clothes, they're trying to tear you down. The fact that I'm here, that I'm alive, that I'm doing what I'm doing is miraculous.
Hey, you can't hold down a beast.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying, they might try to take it all away
So,
from you.
yeah. And I got the title for my book that I plan to write.
Nice.
Holy Fire, Break the Rules.
Nice.
It's a good
We'll
one.
have to have you on the show whenever your book gets
Yes.
released, for sure.
And so that, they want to play religion into it. Oh, well, and it's all about control.
That's the main thing when it's an abuser. It's all about
They
control.
want to use everything. It's about control.
It is.
The keys, taking the evidence. They want to shut.
Following you. I've had a tracking device put on my car. It's no fun. I mean,
This is what's going
they want you
on.
in fear forever, too.
Well, I'm not so much afraid. They want to try to keep me from getting a concealed handgun license, which I had every right. They had actually falsely accused my ex-brother-in-law of holding a gun to my ex-sister-in-law's head, when in fact he did not. They did it
so that he wouldn't be able to get a weapon.
Yeah, but you have to have proof for that. I mean, I've had that happen to me, too.
Well,
and
you got to
other
understand,
than
Daddy
somebody
had
seeing it.
Yeah.
Daddy had connections.
Yeah, well, clearly.
But I had
There's
three.
a lot of connections
I had
here.
I had 3 witnesses, and I had medical, and I was even, it was only on my finger, but Friendswood Police Department told me I think it was Carlson, Lieutenant Carlson said I didn't have enough bruises.
That's where they fail you when they come to the home.
But a guy likened it to shaken baby syndrome. And this is what women are experiencing.
Oh, it's no joke whenever you're getting beat up by a grown man.
Well, the problem of it is
no
they're
joke.
strong.
well, and it does not have to leave bruises when your head is being shot.
Yes, your head. Just, I mean, anything can happen.
It's like being hit, and so I understood when they were saying that football players and these other sports injuries are being afflicted with ALS.
Yes,
but is it ALS, and is the treatment and the diagnosis
correct? Right.
Correct, because if the trauma around the brainstem leaves the swelling, and it's the same thing like Parkinson's, and all of it ends up shrinking the brain, and that's what happened with my uncle. And I figured it all out, and it's like, it's a miracle that I did, and I did it without, going to medical school.
Yeah.
I was an X-ray tech for 20 years and figured, but knowing and seeing the scans and seeing how things shrink, you don't water the flowers, what's going to happen, or the grass.
Mm-hmm.
It shrinks. Same thing happening to the brain. And so law enforcement needs more training.
Well, that's the apparent.
And I would be happy to give a conference on it and explain to them how and why. And these are the sisters, the mothers, the aunts, the grandmothers that this is happening to.
I mean, people you don't even know are getting abused.
And I think the sporting industry and the veterans that are also afflicted with it from the trauma, we all need to come together and help everyone get better treatment for this, because it's not just them, it's also victims of domestic violence.
I would agree.
Absolutely.
Anything can happen when you have someone raging at you,
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
I mean, if someone has a chemical imbalance, they can't help it. They need help.
So two people now need help, and all you're doing is covered by not helping the one person that made the outcry. You're not helping this person that needs help too.
Yeah.
So it's
never going
to stop.
And
new victims will happen.
And when police officers are covering up for their buddies, which happened in my case.
That happens. I know it does. I can tell. I mean, I don't know personally, but I would not put it past people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it happened huge in Austin with me.
Oh, Austin.
And in Friendswood. I mean, they both covered up. And
it wouldn't surprise me.
They wanted everything. They wanted to shut me up and push me out of the state, out of the country, wherever. And it's like, you know what? I'm not going anywhere. I'm here, guys. I'm staying.
She's here.
How you like them apples?
Huh?
I said, how you like them apples?
So, I'm not any of those things that they said. It's a matter of covering up for the abusers, and that's what's happening, and that's what's wrong with our justice system.
You're absolutely right. And I'd love to hear your story. I love that she's came out and actually is saying this, because there are so many people that don't use their voice. It will never end if you don't speak out.
Yes.
And we need Hollywood to address it. We've addressed the sexual abuse.
And that's, yes.
Hollywood, we need you to help with this. Stop standing up for these guys that are hurting your actresses and your filmmakers.
I mean, they're hurting everyone. The sex trafficking organization's probably ran by Hollywood. It's so sad.
Well,
I mean,
there's a lot of political.
They got their thumbs all in it.
Sex trafficking, so.
Oh,
that's a whole other show.
Yeah, that's another show.
But thank you so much for coming on. We enjoyed your interview. It was a little,
that was intense.
Shocker there.
Yeah, for sure.
Very corrupt stuff we're talking about here.
But it's a believable story. I would say that there's a lot of people that have your same story, and people want to shut them up. I mean, so it's sad.
When you have law enforcement, though, asking you, if I've thought about writing a book, this is law enforcement. So they do need more training. And they do need to have more accountability. And law enforcement needs better pay. So they don't
that would
have
probably help a lot.
So they don't have to depend on the side jobs and to they're being abused as well.
Well,
no,
I can imagine that.
And
that can't be an easy job.
No,
not all police are bad.
Not at all.
Not all judges are bad.
I'm not going to say that.
They're people, and they're good people, and they're bad people.
Exactly.
That's right.
And they just happen to have different professions.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, seriously, it sucks, but it is what it is. I mean, walk on the street. 9 out of 10 are probably bad.
No, I wouldn't say that.
No, not cops. I mean people in general.
Oh yeah.
People in
In this
general. I'm not saying
twisted world,
cops.
yeah,
No.
probably.
We still back the blue. The good one.
And there are good doctors and there are bad doctors.
Okay, that's true too.
And
agenda.
But none of that should be used to re-victimize the victims.
No.
Really not.
But everything has become about so money focused instead of people focused.
It's true.
So Stormy, tell the audience one more time what your book's going to be called, and do you have a ETA on that?
No, it's, when you're trying to survive and dealing with abuse, it makes it more difficult because they want to try to keep you, and that's what's happened.
Mm-hmm.
But Holy Fire, Break the Rules.
Holy Fire, Break the Rules by Stormy Hayes. Y'all look for it. We will definitely let you know when it's been published.
Yeah, we'll have her here again.
Thank you guys for watching the show. Have a great Friday, y'all. See you next time.
Bye.
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 Thank you.